Hi everyone, my name is Peter Ocampo and welcome to my course. During this course I will show you my process of designing a horror creature. I will show you how I approach researching and generating ideas, then I'll go on to show you how I develop a simple sketch into a finished piece of work that you could present to a client or include in your portfolio. We will be covering a wide range of techniques. I begin with sketching in Photoshop, where I can experiment with designs quickly. Here I will cover the fundamentals and concepts that I feel are most important to creating good designs. Once I've chosen a design, I will then create a basic 3D blockout using ZBrush. I will then take this model into Blender and show you how to light and render it. This will give us a base to paint over for the final stage of this tutorial. In the final parts of this tutorial, I will then show you how to paint over this render in Photoshop, adding detail and colour using both digital painting and photos. Here are the versions of software I'm using: Adobe Photoshop 2021, ZBrush 2020 and Blender 2.9. Basic knowledge is required for some of the software. I will be talking through everything in Photoshop, so here no previous knowledge is required. However, for Blender and ZBrush, some familiarity with the software is needed. For example, how to move the camera and navigate the menus. If you're already familiar with 3D software, for example Maya or 3ds Max, that should be sufficient for you to make a start with using Blender for this tutorial. I will be demonstrating how I use the most important tools for my process, so only a basic knowledge overall is required for Blender and ZBrush, so don't worry if you're not that experienced in either of these programs. I should mention here that if you would prefer to use a different software other than Blender to render your 3D model, for example Octane or Maya and Arnold, then please feel free to use something else to do so. The first step will be to gather reference. I'll show you how I gather inspiration and some of the places I get my ideas from. I'll talk about the elements that I feel make a creepy and effective design for a horror creature. I'll then take you through my process of quickly sketching an idea out. I'll talk briefly about design principles and some important fundamentals such as silhouette and anatomy. I'll talk through some of the considerations you need to make when designing specifically for horror. I'll then show you how to quickly block out a design in ZBrush using models that are readily available in the latest build. I'm not a particularly proficient ZBrush user, but I can show you how even just a very basic knowledge of ZBrush can make it a powerful addition to your workflow. The next step will be to use a 3D package to render your ZBrush model. I'll show you in Blender how to light your model, and then how to export a series of renders that will allow you a lot of control in the next stages of the process. The last section of this course will cover taking the renders into Photoshop to apply the finishing touches. I'll show you at this stage how I go about painting over a render, how to add extra layers of detail, colour and texture to create a finished piece. Now it's time to begin. Thank you for listening and I'll see you all in the next video.